Buterevu enaku z'omwezi ziri 23 omwezi tuli gwa September omwaka 2022. Njagala okwanirizaako ku UBC TV amawulire UBC leero yonna gy'osinzira okuba ng'otulaba okola ky'amaanyi obudde buno n'oba nga twesiga ate n'otula mu makaago oba ku TV yo n'okkalira oba ku simu yo kuba nga tustreaminga live ne ku YouTube wateka mu UBC TV #UBC leero n'oba nga ate osobola okutambula nafe amawulire nina mangi ddala olunaku olwaleero poliisi ewummuza abasirikale 38 Ebola naye yeeyongedde waliwo abalala abafudde olunaku olwaleero so nga tugane okulaga emboozi Uganda nga tweteekateekera okujaguza emyaka 6 egy'obwetwaze. Bimu ku ebyo byengenda okuba nga nkutuusaako olunaku olwaleero. Amanya nze Jethro Kasaigi. Njagala okutandika ne Ministry y'ebyobulamu bwevuddeyo n'ekakasa nga bwe waliwo abantu abalala 3 abatiddwa ekirwadde ky'Ebola nga n'abalala bano bakakasiddwa okukwatibwa obulwadde buno. Mu mbeera eno omuwendo gw'abakakwatibwa Ebola gulinye okuva ku 7 okutuuka ku 11 so nga n'abakakwatibwa kati bali 11.
Minisitule y'ebyobulamu eyagala kutangaaza eggwanga ku kirwadde ky'abaluseeyo emubende ekya Ebola. Ate essaawa 24 ezayiseeko emabega nga bino tusinzire ku lunaku olwajjo twazudde abalwadde 4 abapya abakakasibwa okubeera n'ekirwadde kya Ebola ate kino kireetedde omuwendo olw'abalwadde kugenda ku 11. Mu update endala abantu 3 bafudde ekirwadde kino ekya Ebola nga kino kireese omuwendo gw'abakafa kugenda nabo ku 11. Abalwadde kwabo abafudde 8 bafiira mu community ate 3 bakafiira mu ddwaliro. So ekyo kireeta omuwendo gw'abantu abakafa ku 11. Abali mu kufuna obujjanjabi omuwendo guyimiridde ku 25 ate kwabo 19 tukyanoonyereza ku samples ate 6 bakakasibwa okubeera n'ekirwadde kya Ebola.
Omwogezi wa Ministry y'ebyobulamu Emmanuel Ainebyona ng'alambula ku nsonga nga bwe zitambula ku kirwadde ekya Ebola ekyasooka okuzuulibwa mu disitulikiti ey'Emubende. Tuvuddeyo kakati abaddukanya amasomero bakugenda maaso n'okuteekesa mu nkola ebiragiro ebyagobererwanga okutangira COVID-19 mu kaweefube okutangira ekirwadde ky'Ebola okusaasaana. Agamu ku masomero getuuseemu Wakiso ne Kampala batubuulidde nti kikulu okugenda mu maaso n'okusomesa abaana obulabe obw'ekirwadde ky'Ebola.
Uganda yafuna okubalukawo kw'ekirwadde kya Ebola sabbiiti ewedde mu disitulikiti y'Emubende wadde nga ne gye buli eno gavumenti tenavaayo n'amateeka agalina okugobererwa okutangira ekirwadde kino okusaasaana. Abaddukanya amasomero agatali gamu batubuulidde nti bafunye amawulire g'ekirwadde kino okuva ku bazadde nga basawo wabula basuubira gavumenti okuvaayo ebeeko kyerambulula ku kirwadde kino.
Tulowooza nti aga gavumenti gajja tutuukako naye omukisa gwe tulina abazadde abasawo abaali ndowooza basooka okugafuna bagasharinga naffe bagezaako gabagabanya naffe ate ne bakola ki ne tugezaako okuba nti tugabanya ne mu bazadde baffe mu WhatsApp group zaffe ate n'abaana baffe mu bibiina eyo ne tugezaako okusaasaanya kuba muzadde bw'abeera omulamu naffe tuba bulungi.
Omukulu w'essomero lya Nakasero Primary School Rogers Nambuli agamba beeteefuteefu okugoberera amagezi aganaabaweebwa abakugu.
Tinoono mu ngeri y'emu tulina kumanya nti azze naye ne tumwetegekera ne tumukolako nga bwe tuteekeddwa okumukolako nga tukozesa obukugu bw'abannaffe abasawo ne task forces era tusuubira nti task forces gyeziri zigenda kubeera nga zikola ki nga zituyambako ffe nga amasomero.
Abakulu bano era bakkaanya nti basobola okwewola ku nkola ezagobererwa okulwanyisa ekirwadde kya COVID-19 bazikozese ne ku mbeera eriwo kati ey'Ebola.
Bintu bino tubikwasaganya ne bibaawo hand washing facilities ne zibaawo tusobola okunaaba engalo nga tuli ne butapusi bwennyini sabbuuni n'abeerawo ate ne sanitizer n'abeerawo.
Mubikatinga cross okuva eri kubanga mu school system already mulimu ze tuyita isolation rooms. Kitegeeza nti bwe tulabawo omuntu yenna gwe twekengera kati tumanye ekyo kukola ate tukikola mu bwangu kubanga contacts za tuzirina.
Oluvannyuma lw'amasomero okufuna amawulire g'ekirwadde kino bagamba nti batandise okubunyisa enjiri eri abaana okumanya ebikwata ku Ebola.
Nti baana bali ku ssomero obuntu obubaamu ng'oyinza okwesanga omwana ng'ayagala ayambala olugoye lwa munne kati ebintu bwe bityo tugezaako okulaba nti tubibeewaza ne babeera nga tebabigenderako kubanga omwo muntu oyo omwo mu malusu oyasimudde tobisemumwa okimanyi nti oyinza okusaasaanya Ebola. Olwekyo ffe ne tubagamba
tulowooza nti awareness okumanyisibwa okwo okugenda mu maaso ku mikutu egya radio egya TV bwe tugattako ne mu masinzizo ne tugattako n'ebiva eno mu masomero ku baana baffe abato tulowooza nti ebyo bigenda kutuyambako nnyo okulabika nti twekuuma.
Yamyuka chancellor wa ssetendekero wa Makerere University Barnabas Nawangwe atunnyonnyodde bye bagenda okugoberera okwaŋŋanga ekirwadde kino.
People who are adults, they know what we are talking about. They are people who can read and they understand. So the best thing we can do and what we are doing is sensitize them and put in place measures so that we avoid unnecessary concentration of people in the same place.
Ekitongole ekivunanyizibwa ku kibuga Kampala ki Kampala Capital City Authority kyafulumya ekiwandiiko ku kirwadde kino era ne kinogalayo Kampala ng'ekimu ku bitundu ebiri ku bulabe. Waliwo task force eyateereddwawo okwekenneenya embeera. Ndi Nafuka Farida ne Dan Lugemwa mu Kampala.
Ssaabaduumizi wa poliisi John Martins Okoth Ochola leero awummuza mu butongole abasirikale 38 ababadde ku madaala aga waggulu abaawummula ku nkomero y'omwaka oguwedde. Abamu ku bawummuziddwa kuliko abadde mu kwanaganya w'ensonga z'ebyobufuzi mu poliisi Hassan Kasinje eyali akulira ebikwekweto Edward Ochom ne Director abadde avunaanyizibwa ku mbeera z'abasirikale Andrew Sorowen.
Retired AIGP Andrew Sorowen omu ku bakulu mu poliisi abawummuziddwa olunaku olwaleero oluvannyuma lw'okuweza emyaka omukozi wa gavumenti gy'alina okuwummulirako okusinziira ku ssemateeka. Sorowen y'abadde Director avunaanyizibwa ku mbeera y'abasirikale n'emizannyo ng'ayingira obuweereza buno nga lumu omwezi ogwokutaano mwaka gwa 1975 era yatuuse ku myaka egy'okunnyukirako emirimu ng'ennaku z'omwezi 3 mwezi ogwokutaano omwaka guno gwa 2022 oluvannyuma lw'okuweereza mu poliisi okumala ebbanga lya myaka 47.
As a head of public accounts investigations and also in operational areas like regional police command and directorate of operations. So these are areas where you do not have time to sleep.
Mubaka bw'abawummuziddwa obusomeddwa retired AIGP Edward Ochom alaze okutya ku mbeera y'omu maaso eri abasirikale abawummudde nga kino akitadde ku nkolagana embi eri wakati w'abawummuzibwa n'obukulembeze obusigalawo.
Maintaining those who have retired as a part of the police team. So you remain there, but you can still be given extra work as a retiree, and you remain a coordinator of the police in the area wherever you are. So I think that still is something that they are working on, and maybe when they come up with it as a policy, it should help to bridge that gap.
Abawummuziddwa baagala watondebwewo eggye ezzibizi lye bagamba nti singa gwabaawo obwetaavu beetegefu okuweereza era abamu bagamba kino kyakwongera okunyweza enkolagana wakati w'abawummuziddwa n'abo abakyali mu buweereza.
Twagala tufuneeyo engeri gye tukolagana okuba essimu oli akyasavinga n'akwata mangu oba tamanyi oba omukubira simu lwaki yinza okuba oyina okufuna obuzibu oba abantu abawansi bakukubira essimu nga bayagala obuyambi naawe nga bamanyi nti okolagana ne abapoliisi abakyali ku mulimu naye oluusi oyinza okukuba nga essimu teyita.
Retired AIGP Edward Ochomo yayingira mu poliisi mu mwaka gwa 1997 okutuuka leero awummuziddwa. Ssaabaduumizi wa poliisi John Martins Okoth Ochola asabye abawummuziddwa obuteekubagiza gye bagenda wabula basigale ng'ekyokulabirako eri abalala.
As former police officers, you leave this institution retiring but not tired of doing public good. I therefore call upon you to always see yourselves as good emissaries of Uganda Police Force and never allow any selfish interest to blemish the integrity, wisdom and courage you have nurtured over the years in this great disciplinary institution.
Ochola asabye abasirikale bano okwenyigira mu pulogulaamu ezaagunjibwawo gavumenti basobole okujja mu bulamu bwa bulijjo.
For the few post-service challenges that await you, I have no doubt that the tough policing challenges that you experienced were adequate to prepare you for greater challenges ahead and to nurture you to build a strong foundation for the current new chapter in life.
Ku mukolo ogubadde ku kitebe ekya poliisi e Naggulu, abasirikale basatu ku ddaala lya AIGP ne Asani Kasinji mu mutwalidde talabiseko ku mukolo guno.
The third play, it is with a great appreciation to AIGP Kasinji Asan in recognition of his valuable service today. I request that one of the directors receives this on his behalf.
Abasirikale 38 abawummuziddwa kubaddeko abadde ku madaala ag'enjawulo nga kubaddeko basatu bali ku ddaala ya AIGP ate babiri nga senior commissioner nga basatu ba commissioner ate nga omu ya assistant commissioner. Ababiri babadde ba senior superintendent of police ate 8 babadde ku ddaala superintendent ate 19 babadde ku ddaala eri assistant superintendent of police.
Webale nnyo Lubwama Abdul Nasir. Bwe tweyongerayo, Conwell Muleya yali akola ekitongole ky'ennyonyi mu ggwanga kkooti emulagidde okwewozaako ku misango egimuvunaanibwa. Muleya mu kkooti avunaanibwa omusango gw'okujeemera ebiragiro ebiri mu mateeka okuva mu ofiisi ya kalisoliso wa gavumenti bw'ayagaana okugenda mu ofiisi okwanukula ku nsimbi ezigambibwa okubulankanyizibwa mu kitongole ky'ennyonyi. Omulamuzi Asumani Muhumuza yali mu mitambo gy'omusango guno.
Mu musango guno oludda oluwabi nga lukulemberwamu Rogers Kinobe lwaleeta abajulizi basatu okwali Gideon Abdumu akola okunoonyereza mu ofiisi ya kalisoliso wa gavumenti, Lorine Akero yakulemberamu omulimu gw'okukwata omuvunaana Conwell Muleya wamu ne Francis Kabera okuva mu kitongole ky'ebyempuliziganya kya Airtel. Wadde nga Conwell Muleya yali yeegaana emisango gino, omulamuzi Asumani Muhumuza oluvannyuma lw'okwekennenya obujulizi okuva ku ludda oluwaabi ategeezezza nga Conwell Muleya bw'alina okwewozaako ku misango egimuvunaanibwa.
Now, I have carefully evaluated the evidence adduced by prosecution and given due and proper consideration to the submissions of counsel for the accused and the state attorney, and I am satisfied that prosecution has done more than enough at this stage, bearing in mind the legal standard of proof. It is the finding of this court, therefore, that prosecution has established a prima facie case against the accused person as charged, necessitating him to defend himself. And accordingly, this court finds that the accused has a case to answer and is put to his defense.
Muhumuza nga yeesigama ku bujulizi okuva mu mujulizi owookubiri ategeezezza nga Muleya we yajeemera ebiragiro okuva mu ofiisi ya kalisoliso wa gavumenti nga wano yeetaaga okwewozaako.
The accused was actually within the country contrary to the assertions of his lawyer, and that there was no reasonable excuse that prevented him from complying with the summons. Further, the learned state attorney submitted that although the IGG required the accused to appear with his passport, this was for identification purposes only, that the IGG needed to verify the identity of the person appearing before her.
Kotereddewo olwanga musanvu omwezi ogw'ekkumi omwaka guno Muleya okwewozaako ku misango egimuvunaanwa wabula kooti y'emu neekalambira okuwa Muleya paasipoota ye okugenda ebweru w'eggwanga okubaako emirimu emitongole gy'akola.
The court has already found that the accused has a case to answer. To release the passport at this stage will most likely derail the hearing of the case. The request for release of the passport for the accused is therefore denied.
Conwell Muleya akiikiriddwa munnamateeka we Charles Nsubuga okusinziira ku ludda oluwaabi kigambibwa nti ng'ennaku z'omwezi 23 omwezi ogwokutaano omwaka guno eyali akulira ekitongole ekibonze ky'ennyonyi mu ggwanga Conwell Muleya yagaana okugondera ebiragiro ebyali mu mateeka ku nsonga y'ensimbi ezigambibwa okubanga zaabulankanyizibwa mu kitongole wamu n'okuwandiisa abakozi. Nze Namammonde Deborah ne Susan Nabugudde abakusakidde bino.
UBC leero ekyagenda maaso. Ng'ennaku z'omwezi 9 Oktoba, Uganda yafuna obwetwaze wansi w'obukulembeze bwa Dr. Apollo Milton Obote nga Ssaabaminisita era nga yakulembera eggwanga oluvannyuma lw'omukago ekibiina kye ekya Uganda People's Congress gwe batta n'ekyakabaka yekka. Kati musemateeka Sir Edward Frederick Luwangula Muteesa II yafuuka pulezidenti ng'amyukibwa Sir Wilberforce Nadiope Muloki. Omusasi waffe Susan Nawonga akunnyonnyola ekyo kyennyini ekyaliwo ng'omutume wa Nnaabakyala wa Bungereza Duke of Kent akwasa Dr. Apollo Milton Obote obuyinza.
Uganda got into being a state towards the end of the 19th century. Under the British colonialists, it became independent on October 9th.
Uganda yafuna obwetwaze nga 9 Oktoba 1962 okuva mu bakulembeze b'amatwale ab'Abungereza.
Sergeant Major Sydney Small of Birmingham lowers the Union Jack that has flown in Uganda for nearly 70 years.
Musemateeka yakolebwa mu lukuŋŋaana lw'e Lancaster Bungereza mu 1980 nga kwe kulina okutambulira enfuga ya Uganda. Oluvannyuma lw'ameefuga mwalimu okutegeka okulonda okusala wani afuuka Ssaabaminisita era agenda okufuga eggwanga. Ssaabaminisita era ye yalina obuyinza ku byokwerinda by'eggwanga era n'amagye.
Abalina omwoyo gw'eggwanga nga ba musaazi bakamya bajolejjo kiwanuka ne bagezaako nnyo okulwanirira obwetwaze bw'eggwanga lino bwe tufuna independence.
Uganda People's Congress upadda nga bakulemberwa Dr. Apollo Milton Obote ne kabaka yekka nga bakulemberwa Edward Frederick Muteesa II batta omukago era ne bawangula akalulu okukola gavumenti. Bwekityo Dr. Obote yafuuka Ssaabaminisita olwo Muteesa n'afuuka president naye nga si ye president nga gw'olaba kati. Nga 9 1962 Ssaabaminisita yakwasibwa obuvunaanyizibwa bw'okukulembera Uganda okuva ku Bungereza. Emikolo gy'okumukwasa obuyinza gyakolebwa omulangira w'e Kent, Duke of Kent, eyakiikirira Nnaabakyala Elizabeth II ku kisaawe Kololo mu Kampala. Kabaka wa Bungereza Sir Edward Frederick Luwangula Muteesa II yafuuka president eyasooka ate Sir Wilberforce Nadiope Kadumbula n'amumyuka.
President Kabaka is His Highness Sir Edward William Frederick David Walungembe Mutebi Luwangula Muteesa II.
Yadde nga Ssaabaminisita yali ayawula bulungi obuvunaanyizibwa bwa ofiisi ezo zombi emyaka ena oluvannyuma lw'okwefuga. Ssaabaminisita yakyusa ssemateeka mu ngeri ey'amankwetu era yabagibwa mu kiro ate neeyisibwa.
66 n'awamba kabaka constitution n'agijjawo.
Kino kyaleetawo akatabanguko mu ssemateeka ekyavaako akasimatuko ka 66 omwali okulumba olubiri okuwaŋŋangusa kabaka era yali president Muteesa II okutuuka e Bungereza gye yafiira ng'agambibwa nti yafa butwa oluvannyuma lwa kabaga mu makaage e Rotherhithe Mu mwaka gwa 1997 Ssaabaminisita Dr. Obote yakyusa ssemateeka neera era n'ajjawo obukulembeze obw'ennono mu Uganda mbu bwali tebusobola kukola mu ggwanga eryefuga.
Ben Kiwanuka by that time yali abagambye nti tulina okuleka obwakabaka bwaffe nga tebuyingidde mu byaki mu byabufuzi. Bwe bayingira mu byobufuzi awo weewaava obuzibu.
Wabula mu mwaka gwa 1971 ebintu byamwefuulira. Musajja we eyali omuduumizi w'amagye Idi Amin Dada yamuwamba bwe yali agenze okwetaba mu lukuŋŋaana lw'amawanga gaali mu luse olumu ne Bungereza Commonwealth e Singapore.
Obote nakena doko abalango abasindikirize bulijjo ekibi kigwana wala.
Seera ebyo abaaliwo batugamba beeyagala bulungi, baalyanga bulungi, baawomerwanga buli kintu. Kati bannaffe bano ne wajja dictator yasooka gwe bayita Milton Obote nga yeekwese mu Baganda.
Amangu aga Amin yalangirira obukulembeze obw'amagye era n'alagira enjole ya Muteesa ekomezebwewo okuva e Bungereza. Kano abasinga bakalabanga akakodyo k'okwegula ku Baganda baali banyiigidde nnyo Ssaabaminisita Obote olw'okulumba olubiri ekyalabikanga ekivve ate n'okuwaŋŋangusa Muteesa saate n'okuzikirira kwe.
I have already stated that my government will allow full political activity by everybody in Uganda.
Enjole yakomezebwawo era omwaka ogwo gwennyini n'aziikibwa mu Masiro e Kasubi Nabulagala era Ronald Muwenda Mutabya owookubiri n'alangirirwa nga kabaka addako. Emyaka 8 egy'obukulembeze bwa Amin gyali gya musaayi era nga bannayuganda 1000 bawaŋŋanguka ne baddukira Kenya ne Tanzania. Watondebwawo n'ebibiina by'obuyeekera ebiwera okugezaako okujja Amin mu ntebe y'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga. Mu mwaka gwa 1979 gavumenti ya Amin yawambibwa aba Uganda National Liberation Front nga bali ba mukago abawagirwa gavumenti ya Tanzania.
Kigendo kizuula nti Amin bano abaamulwanyisa abaali okumpi abeewandikako nti be baalwanyisa Amin be baaleetanga obuzibu.
1979 Uganda yafuna abapresidenti abawera wabulanga balungamizibwa aba UNLF. Kuno kwaliko Professor Yusuf Kironde Lule eyamalako emyezi 2, Godfrey Binayisa eyamalako emyezi 6 ne Paulo Mwanga eyafuuka ssentebe w'akakiiko k'ebyamagye Military Commission. President Binayisa yajibu omukono mu kibya b'akakiiko ka Military Commission nga 10 omwezi ogw'Okuminoogumu 1998 era akakiiko ne kakulembera Uganda okuva nga 12 Maayi 1998.
We have been fighting separately.
We are all united for one purpose only, and that is to get a more democratic country.
Dr. Milton Obote yakomawo mu Uganda okuva Tanzania gye yali nga 27 Maayi 1998 akakiiko k'ebyokulonda nga katuulako abantu 5 kalondebwa mu Julaayi 1998 era okuwandiisa abalonzi ne kutandika mu mwezi ogw'Ekkumi. Okulonda kwaliwo nga 10 Desemba 1998 era n'alayizibwa nga 15 Desemba 1998. Olw'okulwanagana okwali mu UNLF, Dr. Obote bwe yajja ku bukulembeze bano yabajjako era obuyinza bwonna n'abwezza. Wabula nga 27 Julaayi 1985 Obote era yawambibwa omu ku basajja bookera olutwa n'addukira mu buwaŋŋanguse Kenya.
Abange kye mbategeeza nze bulijjo abasajja bannange mbasekerera.
Mu Julaayi wa 1985 nga na bano bawambibwa gavumenti eri mu buyinza okutuusa leero eya National Resistance Movement emyaka giweze 6 bukya Uganda yeefuga.
Tusonge mpaka na jinja hivyo leo.
UBC leero ekyagenda maaso emboozi yabadde mpanvu naye nga kibadde kikulu nnyo okumanya wa Uganda gyevudde okutuusa ng'ennaku z'omwezi 9 omwezi ogwo ogujja Uganda lwegenda okuba nga ate ejaguza okufuna obwetwaze. Nako olw'enkya tugenda kwetera emboozi ey'enjawulo ate nga ne ku Sande era ejja kubaawo tusaanye okuba nga ate osubwa emboozi ez'ekikula ekyo. Awo tuvuddewo abatuuze ku kyalo Manyamma Kabulannaka ekisangibwa mu ggombolola y'e Zirobwe mu disitulikiti y'e Luweero basula ku Tebuukye oluvannyuma lw'omugagga ategerekese nga Rutaŋŋambwa okubaliisa akakanja ku ttaka lyabwe. Bano omulumiriza omugagga ono okubagobaganya ko n'okubonoonera emmere ekibawaliriza okuvaayo okwekubira omulanga mu ofiisi ya Pulezidenti ekola ku nsonga z'ettaka okubataawuluza ku nkaayana zino.
Ettaka eririko enkaayana liweza yiika ezisoba mu 3
nga lisangibwa ku kyalo Manyama Kabulannaka mu ggombolola y'Ezirobwe mu disitulikiti y'e Luweero. Abatuuze balumiriza omugagga Lutangambwa okwekubana ne poliisi y'omu kitundu okubagobaganya ku bibanja byabwe kwe bamaze emyaka egisoba mu 5 nga talina lukusa okuva mu kkooti.
Jako RDC Misalitali bwalye oyo yagezaako okubeera direct naye okuva ku deputy okutuuka ku poliisi wale Ezirobwe. Ono ye mukama waabwe tetuyambiddwa ekigenda okubeera kuno ekirongo ogenze
wabula okulaba tulakita nga zijja zisenda kalituusi waffe amayumba gaffe amalaalo gaffe tugenda kukola tutyafe abanaku era tuddewa
batukuba emiggo nga n'okututta batuweerera kututta
embasi bbiri ziyingidde omufaamu yo zikola ki ngo bagamba batandise kuba abantu bookya amayumba genereeta bagitutte amazzi bagasumuludde abaana bonna badduse naye tezigenze mu mmere gy'abaana kati kyenakola nyina faamu endala mpanga ti ningamba omwana nti vuga amagulu 10 ogende ogale 10 ninkubira poliisi.
Sembajjo Musa muzzukulu w'omugenzi Sulaiman Kiwala nga yenanyini kibanja batuuze ku batudde ategeezezza nga bwe yagezaako okutuukira Luta basobole okutema empenda ku ttaka wabula ne beerema.
Paka lwe namutuukirira ye kennyini nemugamba Mr. Luta bw'oba wagula ettaka tetugaana oyinza okuba omutuufu naye ze kyendowooza kyewandisoose okukola lwandibadde olukiiko gwe Luta n'abafamire ya Kiwala baba nti beba bakuguza ettaka lino katuba tuli awo omwami azze yajja ne tractor n'ajja n'abakubi b'emiggo nga 10 n'aleeta ente n'aziyiwa ku ki n'aziyiwa ku ttaka.
Embeera eno yeewaliriza abakungu okuva mu ofiisi y'eby'ettaka mu maka g'omukulembeze w'eggwanga okutandika okunoonyereza ku mivuyo gy'etobese ku ttaka lino. Bano nga bakulembeddwamu omuwandiisi wa pulezidenti ow'ekyama Edward Ocheng Sande batuuzizza olukiiko ku ttaka okuli embiranye ne basomesa abantu amateeka ku ttaka.
Omuntu yenna ayenyigira mu kugoba abantu mu ttaka agenda kukwatirwawo avunaanibwe okwonoona ebintu by'abantu era ekibonerezo kya myaka 7 tekuli fayini.
Ndowooza poliisi ewulira poliisi ewulira.
Mu lukiiko luno ssentebe w'ekyalo wasinzidde n'asaba abatuuze okuuma emirembe ku kyalo kubanga y'engeri yokka mwe basobola okuyita okufuna enkulaakulana.
Yeyongera okubeera obumu kuba bwe tunafuna empuliziganya naye bwe tunaabanga twetemye ono amukuulira amutya ono amutya tetujja kubaako gye tulaga. Tusaana twogere ebigambo byaffe nga twogera olulimi lumu.
Ocheng naye awezenga bwagenda okukola ekisoboka okutaasa abatuuze bano.
Nakikola nga bwe tantikole mukono ne baleeta saveya okuva eri munda tulabe oba naye anaatuwandikira bino.
Ndi Maria Namukose akusakidde bino.
Nsonga za ttaka Maria Namukose kulekayo nnyo. Bwe tweyongerayo kamisona awa poliisi avunaanyizibwa ku bitongole ebikuumaddembe ebyobwannannyini Charles Sebambulidde asabye ebitongole bino okuddamu okutendeka abasirikale baabyo okusobola okukuuma omulimu gwabwe nga muyonjo. Kino kiddiridde Ssaabapoliisi Martin Zokotho Chola okw'ekiragiro eri ebitongole bino okuddamu okubangula abasirikale baabwe mu nkola yaabwe y'emirimu.
Ensangi zino wabaddewo okusiiwuka empisa eri ebitongole ebikuumaddembe ebyobwannannyini nga kino kiviiriddeko abasirikale b'ebitongole bino okwenyigira mu bikolwa ebimenya amateeka okuli obubbi, okutta abasaalumanya wamu n'okugayaalirira emmundu zaabwe ne zitwalibwa abazigu.
Routinely we provide training for those officers to respond to the dynamics of the security environment.
Tongole bwe kiba nga kinaakozesa emmundu kigenda era kasita kimala okufuna license kikkiriza okukola ate ne kigenda wa Inspector General of Police ne kigula ne kifuna form tugiyita police form 907 oba police form 97. Eyo form eyo gye bajjuza n'etambula bulungi ne bakkiriza nga basaba olukusa olw'okufuna emmundu ze bakozesa.
Oluvannyuma lw'ekiragiro kyakulya poliisi Martins Okoth Ochola kati ebitongole by'obwannannyini bitandise okubangula abasirikale baabwe.
In terms of technology in terms of firefighting, in terms of communication. We therefore had rigorous training for our guards, and so today we are being crowned with their certificates, and for the outstanding performers also to be recognized.
Commissioner wa police avunanyizibwa ku bitongole bino Charles Sibambulidde asabye ab'ekitongole kya full time security guard abatendekeddwa okukuuma empisa. Sibambulidde nga yabadde omugenyi omukulu mu maka g'ekitongole kino agasangibwa ekireka mu municipali y'Ekira, ategeezezza nga poliisi bw'erina enkola y'okutendeka abasirikale b'ebitongole bino ebikola ogw'obukuumi mu ggwanga lyonna.
Inspector General of Police ng'ayita mu director wa training yakoze enteekateeka era ejja essaawa yonna okulaba nti no poliisi buli kitongole kyonna ejjamu abantu abawera nebatwala nebatendeka, kati ate bwe naamala batendeka ate bo basobole okuddayo nga batendeka bannaabwe.
Muhimbise Paddy okuva mu kitongole kya full time security guard awadde obweyamo okulongoosa omutindo gw'ekitongole kino. Abasirikale b'ekitongole kya full time security guard abasinze ku bannaabwe baweereddwa amabaluwa agabasiima so nga abandi balenyisiddwa mu madaala. Nze Haruna Muteesaasira wano Ekireka mu munisipaali eya Kira.
Webale nnyo Haruna Muteesaasira. Gavumenti ekola butaweera okutereeza n'okwongera okubunyisa yintaneti mu bitundu by'eggwanga ebitali bimu ng'omukoka weefube ow'okutumbula ebyobusuubuzi. Bw'abadde atongoza ekibiina ekituumiddwa E-Trade and Startup Association, Minisita omubeezi owa tekinologiya n'okulungamya eggwanga Godfrey Kabyanga agambye nti enteekateeka empya eziriwo za kusobozesa yintaneti eno okutuuka mu byalo mu bbanga lya mwaka gumu.
Uganda zeeganyula nnyo mu nkozesa ya yintaneti okutambuza ebyobusuubuzi mu kiseera eky'emyaka 3 egiyise, naddala mu kiseera eggwanga bwe lyabeerera ku muggalo ng'abantu balina okusigala nga baddukanya bizinensi zaabwe nga bakozesa yintaneti. Wadde nga guli gutyo tekijjaawo mbeera eriwo mu bbeeyi ya yintaneti okubeera waggulu nga kwogatta n'enguudo embi ezimu eziremesezza abantu okuddukanya bizinensi zaabwe obulungi. Embeera eno yeewaliriza bannayuganda abatali bamu abaddukanya bizinensi zaabwe ku mitimbagano okukola ekibiina ekibataba bonna mwe baneegattira okutereeza embeera mwe bakolera, era nga minisita omubeezi owa tekinologiya n'okulungamya eggwanga Godfrey Kabyanga yatongozza ekibiina kino. Wano minisita Kabyanga wasinzidde n'abotera ekyama kya gavumenti kyerina ekyokwongeza ku mutindo n'okubunyisa yintaneti mu bifo byonna okwetooloola eggwanga.
Tugenda kuzimba gye tuyita phase 5 eya national backbone infrastructure, and then tuyina another project gye tuyita last mile. Kati bwe tunazimba infrastructure yo national backbone eringa highway, then tujja kutandika ne last mile distributing internet kutuka buli twale lijja kutukwako internet, kubanga parish development model eri driven n'ebya kalimagezi, envuga yaayo n'enkola yaayo ekolera ku bya kalimagezi, so teyinza kukola internet nga teriiwo.
Bino byonna nga biri bityo bannayuganda okozesa Facebook ogumu ku mukutu omututumufu ennyo era ogusinga okwettanirwa abangi, era ng'okukozesa omukutu guno omuntu aba alina okweyambisa enkola ya virtual private network VPN nga kati wetwogerera gikunukkiriza okuweza emyaka 3.
Tuli mu kutegeragana ne Facebook. Aba UCC bategeragana ne balidinga entegeragana eyo, ndooza tujja kubikola ko bijja kuggwa, naye titwagala ffe nga bannayuganda sovereign state omuntu atulagire ekyokukola. Ffe tujja kulagira Facebook kitwagala ate kye bajja kukola amateeka gaffe nga bwegalagira naye
against the demotivation that could result.
Safari, mtukaini. Ni kitoko cha kiwezekani.
This mistake could have been caused by a knowledge gap where the MD did not know whether Alice or any other client for that matter would either approve or disapprove of executives scolding their subordinates openly. In fact, the MD could have assumed that Alice expected him to reprimand the DF openly, so as to prove to Alice that she was a very valuable customer who nobody should dare annoy. Alice, on the other hand, could have expected a very high professional code of conduct from the MD or any other firm that was aspiring to partner with international investors. She could have actually expected that the MD would not overreact by yelling at the DF in her presence. So how about you? Do you just shout at your peers or subordinates in front of customers? Have you ever discovered that any disagreements between yourselves are bedroom issues which should never leak to the public? Do you ever have sessions behind the scenes to brief each other about what worked and what did not work? About what went wrong and what went right? Do you ever make the effort to give your colleagues some positive feedback rather than always picking the wrong things they do? Is your feedback constructive, whereby it builds your subordinates rather than destroying or putting them down? My advice here is, rebuking a director in public is an outright display of uncontrolled emotions and disorganization that may create the impression that a CEO is too immature to engage stakeholders or business partners of high caliber. So learn to harness your emotions. Customers should never see your anger, as it may show that you lack self-control.
UBC, inspiring Uganda. Up next on UBC, brought to you by
Keep the lights on. Use Airtel Money to pay for all your Yaka bills conveniently. Open the My Airtel app to buy Yaka units. Airtel Money, simple, secure, borderless.
Well, a very good evening and a warm welcome to our first edition of UBC News Tonight on this 23rd day of September 2022. Now, before we delve into tonight's news bulletin, let's first take a look at tonight's top stories. And in our top stories tonight, 4 new Ebola cases confirmed in Mubende. Cumulative number hits 11. Schools to emphasize COVID-19 SOPs as a means to curb spread of Ebola. Police sends off 38 retired officers. And in sports, Uganda are fast champions of the T20 Cricket Africa Cup after defeating Tanzania. Good evening once again and welcome to UBC News Tonight, broadcasting live at Broadcast House on Nile Avenue. I'm Lorraine Masika Kazimoto and with my colleague Muhammad Mugalu on sign language interpretation. Now we start off with tonight's news bulletin with schools continuing to observe standard operating procedures for COVID-19 to prevent the spread of Ebola. Now a UBC TV crew visited some schools in Wakiso and Kampala district to assess preparedness regarding the dangers of Ebola to the learners. Take a look.
Uganda got an outbreak of Ebola last week in Mubende district, although government has not yet come out with guidelines to prevent the spread. School administrators say they have got information about this disease from parents who are medics, but expect government to come out soon and pronounce itself on the same.
We haven't got from the government, however, some well-wishers in form of parents were able to share some information which was that guiding and abiding.
The head teacher, Nakasero Primary School, Rogers Namboli, says they are ready to comply with the advice of technical people.
Also receiving support and instructions, guidance from our superiors, KCCA, and which we believe that if well taken care of, it will help us to curb or control the would-be big effects.
Both administrators agree that they can borrow measures used in the prevention of COVID-19 and apply them in the Ebola situation.
OPs during COVID-19 was washing hands, and really here you find that it is equally important. Another SOP was social distancing, and you will find it will apply here. Unnecessary handshaking was not allowed. Still the same will apply here. So
of COVID-19 and there are elements that can support, like cleanliness and avoiding crowd and that kind of thing. So we are going to borrow from there and see how we can apply this other side as well. Only that it goes with a cost sometimes.
After receiving information on the Ebola outbreak, the schools embarked on sensitizing the learners.
Issues of sharing, there are things, we don't share hankies, we don't share, we don't share stockings, we don't share shoes, because as you share the stockings, somebody can sweat, therefore you are sharing the fluid. So we have tried to sensitize them.
Sensitization of our learners and the staff, and which we have already embarked on. We also depend on our stakeholders, particularly the parents, their awareness.
Macquarie University Vice Chancellor Barnabas Nawangwe explains the measures the university is putting in place to prevent the spread of Ebola.
People who are adults, they know what we are talking about. They are people who can read and they understand. So the best thing we can do and what we are doing is sensitize them and put in place measures so that we avoid unnecessary concentration of people in the same place.
KCCA released a statement about the outbreak and highlighted how Kampala was at high risk. It has put a task force to monitor the Ebola situation. I'm Nafka Farida and Dan Lugemo.
Now, 3 new deaths due to Ebola have been registered and 4 new confirmed cases. This brings the cumulative number of confirmed Ebola cases from 7 to 11, and also the number of deaths to 11. All the confirmed cases and deaths are still in one district of Mubende.
From the 20th of this month, when the first Ebola case in Mubende district was declared by the Ministry of Health, 3 new deaths have been recorded, bringing the cumulative number of deaths to 11.
And these include those confirmed and probable deaths. 8 deaths are community, whereas 3 are facility-based.
4 new cases of Ebola have also been registered, bringing the number of cumulative cases from 7 to 11. There are 25 cases on admission, and out of these, 6 are confirmed, while 19 are suspected.
The Ministry of Health rapid response teams remain on the ground to conduct contact tracing and follow-up of all contacts to the confirmed cases.
and cumulatively a total of 58 contacts have been listed. The ministry wishes to advise the general public to install hand washing facilities at all public places.
We have doctors from the ministry. They have come to support our health workers here, and they are doing a great job. We are just appealing to the communities to come to the referral hospital for treatment, because when they come to the hospital, it's the cases are managed very well.
The Minister for Health, Dr. Jethro Kasaigi, is expected in Mubende district this Saturday, the 24th of September, to hold a national task force meeting on how to curb the further spread of the deadly Ebola virus disease. Adia Nakute, UBC.
Thank you, Adia. Now, the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Taiwa, has urged government to reduce on the internet cost to facilitate distance learning and wider coverage of education services. Taiwa was officiating the opening of the Higher Institutions of Learning exhibition organized by the National Council of Higher Education at Lugogo Showgrounds.
Not everyone can afford MBs.
National Council for Higher Education organized a 3-day exhibition themed Enhancement of Teaching, Learning and Assessment of Ordeal in Higher Education. The exhibition was opened by the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Taiwa, who represented the Speaker, Anita Omong.
We must have a policy as government, and Chairman Education Committee, I give you this assignment, of zero-rating education websites. We need, there are services which telecom companies and internet service providers are making a lot of money out of us sending our photos of nyege, dancing pakachini and all that. Now, part of the profit, let it be seeded to helping the education sector. That's an investment. That's an investment. So we need to push for a policy of zero rating of education and educative websites. You access them internet free.
Taiwa recommends infrastructure development to facilitate affordability of e-learning. He believes this will widen the scope of literacy rates in Uganda, as highlighted in the National Development Plan 3.
You need to have a forum like how you created the REN, okay? To subscribe to e-libraries, and you share. Yeah, you share. Why should Ndeje have its own e-library, Makeri its own e-library? And yet it's unlimited access for a number of students. It's but its own e-library. Why not, contribute resources depending on the number of students you have, and then you share the e-library.
The congregation of these heads of institutions intends to rally them towards adoption of open distance and e-learning and assessment mode of training in post-secondary institutions.
The theme of this year's exhibition, enhancement of teaching, learning and assessment with open distance and e-learning or DEL in higher education, is appropriate. This year's exhibition aims at showcasing the capacities developed during the implementation of the emergence Ordeal system.
National Council for Higher Education has pointed out challenges affecting the process of education transformation from the traditional mode of teaching to modern methods to meet the dynamics and competitive education sector.
The majority of institutions were not approved to implement this system, in brief we call it Ordeal, because of various constraints, including affordability of internet and ICT equipment. We therefore request, Honourable Speaker, that Parliament intervenes by ensuring that costs of internet are affordable. Also, that nationwide internet connectivity covers even the hard-to-reach areas in the country,
The 3-day universities and other higher institutions of learning exhibition centered on creating a sustainable platform for Ugandan young innovators and researchers towards building a formidable education system.
Former Uganda Airlines boss Cornwell Muleya has been found with a case to answer in the case of disobedience of lawful orders from the IGG's office. Court has set 7th October 22 for the accused to defend himself in this matter. The case is before Magistrate Asumani Muhumuza of Buganda Road Court. We have the details.
In this case, prosecution led by Rogers Chinobe presented 3 witnesses to pin the accused. These include Gideon Abdam, Supervisor Special Investigations at the IGG's office, Lauren Yakero, who led the arresting team, and Kabera Francis, the Security Manager at Airtel Telecommunication Company. Although the accused Cornwell Muleya pleaded not guilty to the alleged offences against him, Magistrate Asmani Muhumuza, after perusing prosecution evidence, found him with a case to answer.
Now, I have carefully evaluated the evidence adduced by prosecution and given due and proper consideration to the submissions of counsel for the accused and the state attorney, and I am satisfied that prosecution has done more than enough at this stage, bearing in mind the legal standard of proof. It is the finding of this court, therefore, that prosecution has established a prima facie case against the accused person as charged, necessitating him to defend himself. And accordingly, this court finds that the accused has a case to answer and is put to his defense.
Muhumuza added that the evidence before court also pins Muleya to have disobeyed the orders. Basing on the second witness's evidence,
the accused was actually within the country, contrary to the assertions of his lawyer, and that there was no reasonable excuse that prevented him from complying with the summons. Further, the learned state attorney submitted that although the IGG required the accused to appear with his passport, this was for identification purposes only, that the IGG needed to verify the identity of the person appearing before her.
Court has indicated 7th October 2022 for Cornwell Muleya to defend himself.
The court has already found that the accused has a case to answer. To release the passport at this stage will most likely derail the hearing of the case. The request for release of the passport for the accused is therefore denied.
In the same regard, court has declined to release Cornwell Muleya's passport to allow him travel. Mr. Cornwell Muleya is represented by lawyer Charles Nsubuga. Prosecution alleges that on 23rd May 2022, Cornwell Muleya, while working as the Chief Executive Officer of Uganda Airlines, disobeyed lawful orders from the Inspectorate of Government Office following the investigations on the mismanagement of public funds, procurement and recruitment of staff at Uganda Airlines. Deborah Namamonde, Susan Nabugudde, UBC News.
Now, on the 9th of October 1962, Uganda gained independence under the leadership of Dr. Apollo Milton Obote as Prime Minister, with executive powers to form government in a parliamentary election system which his party, the Uganda People's Congress, UPC, won through a coalition with Kabaka Yeka. Now, under the independent federal constitution, Sir Edward Frederick Luwangula Mutesa II became a ceremonial president, with Sir Wilberforce Nadiope Moloki as a ceremonial vice president. Now, our reporter Susan Naonga makes a flashback of what exactly happened on October 9th, 1962, as Queen Elizabeth's representative, the Duke of Kent, handed over the instruments of power to Obote as Prime Minister, with executive powers, and Kabaka Mutesa as ceremonial president. Take a look.
Uganda got into being a state towards the end of the 19th century under the British colonialists. It became independent on October 9th, 1962.
Sergeant Major Sidney Small of Birmingham,
lowers the Union Jack that has flown in Uganda for nearly 70 years.
Under the post-independent federal constitution of the federal Uganda formulated in London at the Lancaster Conference of 1960 called for a parliamentary election system in which an election was held a year to independence to determine who becomes the executive prime minister with powers from government and the full control of security services. The Uganda People's Congress under Dr. Apollo Milton Obote and Kabaka Yeka party of Kabaka Edward Frederick Mutesa made an alliance that saw a marriage of convenience to form government.
We are trying to extend this matter to Her Majesty the Queen, the head of the Commonwealth.
After the 1961 election, Obote becomes a prime minister with executive powers to form government, and Sir Edward Mutesa became the colonial president with Wilberforce Nadiope as the vice president.
The present Kabaka is His Highness Sir Edward William Frederick David Walungembe Mutebi Luangula Mutesa II.
On October 9th, 1962, Prime Minister with executive powers Dr. Apollo Milton Obote received the instruments of power for the independent Uganda from Britain. The handover of these instruments of power was done by the Duke of Kent, who represented the Queen at Kololo Independence Grounds.
Like Musazi, like Benedicto Chwanuka, like the King of Buganda, Sir Edward Mutesa. Those people were very crucial in bringing the independence to this country.
The Kabaka of Buganda, Sir Edward Frederick Mutesa II, became the first president and head of state, with Wilberforce Nadiope as the vice president. However, according to the Independence Federal Constitution of 1962, both the president and vice were ceremonial, and the administrative powers to run government were vested in the prime minister.
They've got a new independence to celebrate, and they...
Despite this doctrine of separation of power between the Prime Minister and the President, barely 4 years of self-rule, the Prime Minister replaced the independent federal constitution with the pigeonhole constitution that was drafted overnight and passed.
But when Obote came in, he abolished everything and he took over the power. You recall, he brought his pigeon constitution. The pigeon constitution was his own constitution.
This marked the beginning of a constitutional crisis that caused the 1966 crisis, the bombing of Lubiri Palace, and the deposing of the ceremonial president Sir Edward Frederick Mutesa to exile in London, where he subsequently died in 1969 on account of alleged poisoning.
That is where the problem came in, and now the new people who came in to other liberators, they just made everything worse.
In 1967, Prime Minister Apollo Milton Obote replaced the 1966 pigeonhole constitution with the Republican constitution that turned Uganda into a republic and abolished monarchies in Uganda on account that kingdoms cannot exist in a republican state.
But by that time we had the federal states. But when Obote came in, he abolished everything and he took over the power.
However, in what turned out to be a bomb range in a political career in 1971, President Apollo Milton Obote is overthrown in a coup by his own commander, General Idi Amin Dada, while he was attending a Commonwealth summit in Singapore.
I have already stated that my government will allow full political activity by everybody in Uganda.
Shortly after the military coup of 1971, the declaration of a military regime by Idi Amin, he ordered for the return of the remains of Sir Edward Frederick Mutesa II from Britain. This was seen by many as a strategy in which President Amin won the hearts of many Baganda who had fallen out with Dr. Obote and the UPC government.
Arrangements which were made by the Dr. Apollo Milton Obote to disarm the whole tribe of Uganda except his own tribe, Langi and Acholi.
They did a lot of wrong things behind Idi Amin. People were thinking that it was Amin, but it was the very people.
Sir Edward Mutesa that very year was laid to rest at the Kisubi royal tombs, and the heir to the throne, Ronald Muwenda Mutebi, was announced. The 8-year rule of General Amin was a bloody reign that saw arbitrary murders and arrests without trial, interference in the affairs of sovereign states like Tanzania and Kenya. This led to fleeing of many Ugandans to exile in Kenya and Tanzania, and the formation of several rebel groups to overthrow Amin's regime. In 1979, General Idi Amin and his dictatorial regime was overthrown by the Ugandan National Liberation Front, a coalition of Ugandan exiles supported by the Tanzanian Liberation Army.
They were power hungry. They wanted the power.
Between 1979 and 1980, Uganda had several heads of state under the UNLF, and these included Professor Yusuf Lule, who spent only 2 months as president, Godfrey Binaisa, who became president for 6 months, and Paul Muwanga, the chairman of the Military Commission.
We have been fighting separately.
We are all united for one purpose only, and that is to get a more democratic country.
President Binaisa was overthrown by the Military Commission of the UNLF on May 10, 1980, and a 6-member Military Commission headed by Paul Muwanga took control of the government on May 12, 1980. Dr. Milton Obote returned to Uganda from Tanzania on May 27, 1980. A 5-person electoral commission was appointed in July 1980, and registration of voters began in October 6, 1980. Dr. Milton Obote of UPC was elected president on December 10, 1980, and was inaugurated as president on December 15. Due to the internal strides, the UNLF is removed by Dr. Milton Obote after the 1981 election that saw UPC retain power.
If they want stability, if they want rehabilitation, if they want peace, if they want prosperity, I call upon them not to support such persons.
However, President Obote on July 27, 1985 is overthrown in a military coup for the 3rd time and fled to exile in Kenya on July 28, 1985. Susan Naonga reporting for UBC TV.
Thank you, Susan Nawonga. Now, in our Uganda at 60 episodes, we are now profiling Inspector General of Police who have headed the police force since independence. And on this, Ivan Kahwa reports.
Ever since Uganda attained independence, a number of people have served as Inspector Generals of Police, some of whom are still living, while others are dead. In 1964, Uganda got the first Ugandan Inspector General of Police. Wilson Oryema had joined the Uganda Police Force in 1939 and is known as one of the first Africans to rise through ranks under the colonial government. Oryema is remembered for having recruited highly educated officers into the force. He was killed by Idi Amin Dada's forces alongside Internal Affairs Minister Charles Oboth Ofumbi and Church of Uganda Archbishop Janan Luwumu in 1977. Benjamin Otieno later succeeded Oryema as Inspector General of Police in 1971 until 1973. He preserved the integrity and duty of the police. Luke Ofunji then became Inspector General of Police, who served under the leaderships of Idi Amin, Milton Obote, Tito Okello, and Yoweri Kaguta Museveni from 1973 until 1989. This is the period where rapid reshuffles were made in police due to changes in the country's leadership. Okoth Ogola was appointed Inspector General of Police in 1981. He struggled to ensure security of the state in the face of armed rebellions, where police stations were attacked and a number of officers killed in Luwero Triangle. In 1986, Luke Ofunji was back at the helm of the Uganda Police and ran affairs until 1990. This was the time many highly educated officers were recruited. Then David Sogen took the office for a while until 1990. He was succeeded by Apollo Byekwaso, who headed the force until 1992. It was during Byekwaso's term that police had to handle the first political unrest in Kampala when Democratic Party activists attempted to organize protests. This was the same period when the Internal Affairs Minister in charge of police was DP President General Paul Kawanga Semogerere. In 1992, one of the longest-serving IGPs, John Kose Odomel, took office. Odomel headed the force until 1999. In 1999, John Kisembo took office as IGP. He was in office until 2001. While Kisembo was in office, Justice Julius Sebutinde Judicial Commission of Inquiry probed the police force, identifying many challenges. It is after this inquiry that President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni appointed General Katumba Wamala to lead the reform of the police. General Katumba Wamala spearheaded the re-equipping of the police and building its combat capabilities to net criminals who were former soldiers and rebels. He set up Operation Wembule, which neutralized armed robbers in the city and along highways. In 2005, General Kale Kihura was appointed IGP and he has served longest as police boss. He presided over the expansion of the police and quashed opposition protests throughout his tenure. Kihura arrested notorious ADF commander Jamilu Mukulu, who is still in prison. Kihura was replaced by Okoth Martins Ochola, who is the current Inspector General of Police. Under Okoth Ochola's reign, police has registered fresh assassination attempts, assassinations, bomb attacks, and unrests in Greater Masaka and Kampala, where people have lost lives. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News.
Thank you, Ivan Kawa. Now moving on, NRM party leaders have embarked on orienting its members on the party core principles, this in a bid to strengthen party structures at the grassroots. The move, according to party leaders, is to present regional issues for government intervention and to address internal conflicts in the party.
Kabarore Youth Center Hall in Fort Portal City was filled to capacity by the NRM members and their local leaders from all districts that make up Toro and Rwenzori sub-regions for a one-day orientation meeting with the party leaders. The party chairperson, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, was lauded for ushering in peace and security in the country, which have translated into tangible achievements.
It is the peace that was steered by his leadership since '66 that now we are here to enjoy the peace. Some of those that have started to abuse.
The meeting was organized by Rwenzori Patriots Association with the aim of orienting party cadres on presenting regional issues to the party leaders and solving internal conflicts, among other issues. Hours later, the NRM Director for Mobilization, Rosemary Seninde, arrived at the venue amidst cheers and ululation from party supporters. Seninde represented the NRM Secretary General, Richard Todwong. Some of the issues raised here included, among others, unemployment and party internal conflicts in Toro and Rwenzori sub-regions. In response, Ms. Seninde urged members to unite for the common cause of development.
Do we understand the pillars that build the bricks or the blocks of our party? When we talk about patriotism, do we understand what it means? Is it only appreciating the fact that we have to love our country?
Seninde also gave lectures on the core party principles and pledged to present their concerns to the party heads.
Naye industrial park webeze ejja tuwa emirimu kakati ffe katuddeyo byonna mbinootinze tujjukize omukulu nti abeeri baatuwa ettaka.
On employment, Seninde urged the cadres to embrace mindset change and be innovative.
I don't know how many RDCs Museveni will employ. Districts ziringa 10 mu ziizo ntono nnyo bwe baba bawadde ebifo bawa RDC and the assistant RDC oba deputy RDC si bwe kiri kakati ebifo banaabiwa bameka.
These meetings are expected to be held in all regions to strengthen the party structures. Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
Ni MTN Kabode Super as you pay mpola for this smartphone. Make calls, update your WhatsApp status, watch YouTube, and Google anything under the sun with 2 GB worth of data every month for 7 months. Simply make a small deposit of 99k and pay the balance mpola. You can pay in daily, weekly, or even monthly installments while you enjoy your new phone. So what are you doing today? Visit any MTN shop near you and get the MTN Kabode Super easy.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Mbara and Jinja.
I remember the lockdown, when the streets were empty and our lives disrupted, when businesses closed and our livelihoods hung in the balance. Hospitals were full. We lost loved ones, jobs, and hope. Our children couldn't study anymore. We cannot let this happen again. We should not go back. Get fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and join the millions of Ugandans who are already vaccinated.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial *149*10# to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial *149*10*5#. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial *149*10# to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Fellow Ugandans, did you know that we are losing wetlands at an alarming rate? Wetlands are the most threatened ecosystems, disappearing 3 times faster than the forests. Dear ones, we risk losing species to extinction and a lot of wetlands at maintaining our environment. Let us all be concerned, conserve, and restore our wetlands. In the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Water and Environment, Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Uganda National Meteorological Authority, in partnership with the Interreligious Council, with support from Government of Uganda, Green Climate Fund, and the United Nations Development Programme.
Welcome back from that break. Now moving on with more news, the Parliamentary Committee on Health recently visited Mulago National Referral Specialized Hospital to assess the hospital's readiness for organ harvesting and donations in the country. Now this comes as the National Organ Transplant Bill 2021 is expected to be tabled before Parliament next week.
James Walugembe, a resident of Bukoto, Kampala district, has been on dialysis for close to 12 years and visits the hospital twice a week, parting with 150 shillings per visit. He's requesting the hospital administration for reduction on costs of dialysis.
A reduction in the cost because the patients don't have money, but the cost is very high. If the cost could be matched with the Chirobo Hospital, it would be better for us.
The services are excellent, not even good, but they're excellent.
Mulago National Referral Specialized Hospital Administration says that there are about 40,000 patients with renal failure who require dialysis, with about 400 patients countrywide with chronic renal failure that are accessing dialysis services. Currently, Mulago has over 100 patients that are on dialysis, and the hospital handles up to 50 dialysis sessions daily. It is against this backdrop that the Parliamentary Committee on Health visited Mulago National Referral Hospital to check on the progress of different units.
We need the services of organ donation and transplant as soon as possible. What we are doing right now is we are firefighting the downstream aspect, but we should be going upstream. Technology has advanced. Our neighbors in the region are already doing organ donation, harvesting and transplant. So for us as a committee, we really want this bill to pass.
Mulago is quite ready. We are a few months away from our maiden transplant. We are confident that the law is going to be passed, the bill will be passed into law. But even if that was not passed, we still have provision for the minister to sign off a document to let us transplant. So we are closer to transplant than ever before.
Members of Parliamentary Committee on Health were shocked to find out that some of the works at the organ transplant unit at Mulago Hospital are incomplete to a tune of 13 billion shillings and want Rocco Construction Company to explain.
Functional, this cannot begin, this machine cannot work because Rocco has not done much, has not finished its work. Now, even if we would pass that bill, still Rocco has to finish some work so that some of these things have to be in place. My Honorable Chair, we need to do something to Rocco. Whether it is crucifiable or not crucifiable, we need to know who Rocco is. I think as a committee from here, we need to call Rocco and tell them what we have found in Mulago, and they give us timeline.
Was the opening of Mulago Hospital by the President premature, and then sometimes you paint the image, the facility is ready, but behind the kitchen and what places are not yet ready. So I want you to tell this committee whether Rocco has finished its work 100% and what we should carry to the floor of Parliament.
Dr. Rosemary Byanyima, the acting executive director of Mulago Hospital, says that the drugs and medical supplies for the transplant are very expensive and the hospital needs close to 1 billion additional budget for transplant services. Zahara Abigaba, UBC News.
The Inspector General of Police, John Martin Zokotho-Chola, has officially sent off 38 senior police officers who retired late last year. Among the retirees were former Chief Political Commissar Jethro Kasaigi, former Director of Operations Edward Otom, and former Director Welfare Andrew Sorowen. IGP Ochola tasked retirees to act as false emissaries of honor in their retirement.
Retired Assistant Inspector General Police Andrew Sorowen is among those who was seen off by Uganda Police after constitutional age of retirement clocking. Sorowen, who has been the Director in charge of Welfare and Sports, joined the force on the 1st of May 1975 and clocked the retirement age on the 3rd of May 2022 after serving in the force for 47 years.
The head of public accounts, investigations, and also in operational areas like Regional Police Command and directorate of operations. So these are areas where you do not have time to sleep.
In his farewell speech, retired AIGP Edward Ochom, who has been the police director operations, expressed skepticism over the retirees' future owing to the poor coordination between the retirees and the police administration.
Assuming I'm attacked at night by some thugs and I'm calling a DPC or RPC and it doesn't pick my phone, those are the kind of challenges I have. In that those who have retired have a bit of a gap, because when you are probably informing some, because we still have people out there who give us information. There are those even who don't know that I've retired.
Retirees called for an establishment of a special reserve police force, which should once in a while be recalled in case of a crisis. To some retirees, this will nurture a strong bond between them and serving officers.
Maintaining those who have retired as a part of the police team. So you remain there, but you can still be given extra work as a retiree, and you remain a coordinator of the police in the area wherever you are. So I think that still is something that they are working on, and maybe when they come up with it as a policy, it should help to bridge that gap.
Retired AIGP Edward Ochom served in the force from 1987 to 2022. The Inspector General Police, John Martins Okoth Ochola, advised retirees against having self-pity during retirement.
As former police officers, you leave this institution retiring, but not tired of doing public good. I therefore call upon you to always see yourselves as good emissaries of Uganda Police Force and never allow any selfish interest to blemish the integrity, wisdom and courage you have nurtured over the years in this great disciplinary institution.
Ochoa rallied these officers towards already initiated government development programs to fit in society.
For the few post-service challenges that await you, I have no doubt that the tough policing challenges that you experienced were adequate to prepare you for greater challenges ahead and to nurture you to build a strong foundation for the current new chapter in life.
However, the three Assistant Inspector General Police, retired AIGP Jethro Kasaigi, was awarded in absentia.
The third play, it is with great appreciation to AIGP Kasaigi Hassan in recognition of his valuable service today. I request that one of the directors receives this on his behalf.
The 37 retirees included 3 Assistant Inspector General Police, 2 Senior Commissioners of Police, 3 Commissioners of Police, 1 Assistant Commissioner of Police, 2 Senior Superintendents of Police, 8 Superintendents of Police, and 19 Assistant Superintendents of Police. Abdul Nasir Lubam and Marion Awori, UBC.
Well, we wish them the very best in their retirement. Now, government is working around the clock to improve and increase internet penetration in a bid to facilitate nationwide appreciation to digital innovations like e-commerce. State Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Jethro Kasaigi, says the renewed plans target internet penetration up to the parish level in a period of 1 year. Minister Kasaigi was officiating at the launch of an e-trade and startup association, a platform through which sector players will propel their advocacy for better operation conditions.
Uganda's journey to embrace e-commerce has over the time been progressing, especially in the last 3 years, where digital services became a necessity due to the COVID-19 protocols. However, high cost of internet and poor infrastructure development remain some of the traditional bottlenecks, undermining wide appreciation of e-commerce.
We've seen that we keep adding taxes. Facebook is still blocked. We're seeing UCC obviously coming up with policies that are not conducive for the sector.
Top-ranking e-trade sector players have now decided to unite and form an association through which they will collectively advocate for better environment to operate in.
So we're coming together to make sure that we have one voice, we're able to fight for our concerns, and we're able to educate the government and the consumers about e-commerce, about e-trade, which is the fourth industrial revolution, as you know very well.
The State Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Godfrey Baluku Kabianga, presided over the launch. It is against this backdrop that Minister Kabianga disclosed that government's efforts to improve and increase internet penetration countrywide are on course.
Looking for money, and we are about to get it because we have promises for what we call the last mile. From the national backbone, the distribution lines to the villages. Because under parish development model, we have what we call the parish model management information system. So it is the one which will drive the model, because it's the one we shall use to monitor how the strategy is working. And therefore, every parish must be connected to internet.
However, we should recall that in Uganda, Facebook, one of the prominent social media platforms, is only accessible via virtual private network VPN application for close to 3 years now.
UCC, our agency, is in close negotiations with Facebook, but they will operate here at our terms, not their terms. We have our own laws. We are a sovereign state. We can't be held at ransom. So if you
Kabianga also seized the opportunity to market the recently introduced e-mobility services. Dorcas Kimono, UBC News.
Commissioner of Police, Department of Private Security and Firearms, Sebambuli De Charles, has welcomed the Private Security Guards refresher training. Inspector General of Police, Martin Okoth-Ochola, ordered the Director in charge of Private Security Guards and Civilian Firearms to immediately commence the training, especially on how to manage the public and the use of firearms.
The Commissioner of Police Department of Private Security and Firearms, Sebambuli De Charles, asked the newly recruited security guards to observe discipline.
Mind your life. Your life is important. Then make sure you use the gun diligently. Train these people.
He said mistakes by private security guards sometimes leads to loss of lives, something attributed to inadequate training and supervision.
I wanted you, and the press is also here, the thugs are out there to pick your guns. Just within a space of some 2 weeks, we have had security guards who are killed. They are over, they are several, and some guns have been taken. So you consider yourself as like an officer or like a soldier who is on the front line.
Quite a number of challenges that we face, including where because we use human resource, much of it is human resource and technology, and so the people we work with also have their personal challenges.
Sebambuli De made these remarks while presiding over the passing out of full-time security guards at their premises in Chireka, Chira municipality. Retraining of all guards with a new syllabus that has been developed by the Uganda Police Force.
We have a program of trying to make sure that all private security officers are trained. And when they are trained, it's not a mini training, it must be a real training. More so those who are handling firearms.
Ahimbisiwe Pade from full-time security guards admitted that there are loopholes in the training of security guards and their supervision.
Routinely we provide training for those officers to respond to the dynamics of the security environment in terms of technology, in terms of firefighting, in terms of communication. We therefore had rigorous training for our guards, and so today we are being crowned with their certificates, and for the outstanding performers also to be recognized.
Best performers were awarded with certificates, others decorated and promoted. Haruna Mtesasira, UBC News.
Well, UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but we'll return with more. Don't move an inch.
October Bidel Musaba Gardens Mukono, October Mukaga Millennium Gardens Saziwaya, October Munanaji Montelembara, 10 October, 40 Poto Muchisawe, Abidim Bi October, Bale Sports Center, Umtualukumo, Yebem Tuale Santo, a meza million yemo, Wababa Tualukumia, Abana Gula tickets of Agosa M10 Momo, Banjagusa Sulan Comitano, Bidam Romo Center, Hiva Motors, Galaxy FM, Radio 4, Kagwina War, TN.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Barra and Jinja.
Forget last season. Forget the oohs and the ahs. Forget every moment that stole the show, because the real show is here on GoTV. It's the new season. It's action-packed, and it's going to be non-stop football. With over 1,000 games from more than 7 leagues and cup competitions, plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seat in the house this new football season. Get a GoCoder with 1 month of GoTV value for only 25,000 Uganda shillings and enjoy non-stop football. GoTV Uganda. Love it. It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial star 149 star 10 hash to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial star 149 star 10 star 5 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back from the break, and now into the business scene. Uganda's oil and gas sector stakeholders within and outside Uganda Wildlife Authority and Bunyoro Kingdom are questioning intentions of the European Union Parliament on Uganda's oil and gas projects. Now, the concerned parties argue that the basis for the criticism is unclear and shouldn't deter more investment in the sector and progress to production. We have a detailed report by Dennis Segoa.
The 15-year journey of Uganda's oil and gas sector has factored in due diligence and patience to get to the current state. It is worth noting that only 0.05% of the 3,000 square kilometers of the Murchison Falls National Park will be utilized by the oil and gas activities in the development and production process. Sheikh Omar Diallo, the Total Energies and East African crude oil pipeline spokesperson, says the upstream and midstream phases have followed the time-tested and conventionally agreed principles of the environment and social impact mitigation hierarchy.
We do comply with these processes and with standards which are high standards level. And this is why we do say that this project for us is somewhere an exemplary project in terms of technical ecological issue, in terms of safety, in terms of human rights, it is something very exemplary. And this is the reason why we do encourage people to come and to see how it is implemented.
His sentiments are re-emphasized by Uganda Wildlife Authority, a government agency that is responsible for management and protection of wildlife in and outside the protected areas. OA gives a comparison of where the project currently is vis-a-vis where it started from during the exploration and appraisal phase.
And you look at this site like you are seeing, it is more or less like blending with the rest of the area. And if it was not for the wellhead marker, which we are looking at just about 12 to 5 meters away from here, nobody would even ever tell that activity of oil exploration has ever taken place around this site. And the animals, when you look at the footprints all over, there are very many, meaning the activity impact factors like noise and vibrations never scare the animals temporarily, rather permanently from this site.
In an exclusive interview with UBC, while on a field visit to the oil fields, accompanied by French journalists and staff based at the headquarters in Paris and Kampala office, Omar underscored the importance of the project not only to the joint venture partners but to the region at large. The delegation is in Uganda at a time when ECOP and Tilenga are on the spotlight over a disapproval of the project by the European Union Parliament.
As there is no impact on the environment and the nature, and this is what we are doing, and this is what we are thinking, that our presence in this park will minimize our footprint and will minimize our impact in the activities. And at the end of the period, that is to say at the end of the process of production, our commitment is to have a park in better condition than today.
The call by the EU Parliament for the seizing of diplomatic and financial support to Uganda's oil and gas sector has attracted mixed reactions locally and internationally.
It's a shock for us that a very developed society can depend on rumors to make conclusions. So we call upon the European Union and their friends to come here and get the right information and not to disrupt this project, which we know is going to be very beneficial for us and the people of Bunyoro and the people of Uganda. This is unprecedented.
Before the real implementation takes place, an environmental impact assessment is carried first. And the moment it is carried and finally agreed upon, I don't see why the project should stop.
The project implementers, however, are committed to mitigate any eventualities by adopting and incorporating appropriate legal and contractual frameworks which involve avoidance of sensitive ecosystems and mitigating manageable impacts, including reducing of impacts. Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial star 149 star 10 hash to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial star 149 star 10 star 5 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
All right, and now into the sports scene. Uganda became the first country to win the Africa Cricket Association T20 Africa Cup after defeating neighbours Tanzania by 8 wickets. Now, in what was a cliffhanger final played on Thursday night at Wilmore Park in Benoni, South Africa, Uganda came from behind to claim the victory in the 11th hour, collecting a total of 175 runs for 2 in 20 overs against Tanzania's 174 runs for 5 in 20 overs. Now, players Riazat Alishan and Dose Humza made a huge contribution to this win. Take a look at the highlights.
A magnificent win, a come-from-behind win, a most unexpected victory when Tanzania seemed to beat it all the way through.
The national men's cricket team, the Cricket Cranes, defeated Tanzania by 8 wickets in a dramatic SCA T20 Africa Cup final to become the inaugural winners of the cup. Uganda was elected to bowl first but struggled to match up to Tanzania's play, giving away 174 runs for 5 wickets by the innings break. In batting, Uganda found it harder to register the required runs in time, reaching the final overs with a huge margin to cover. However, Raziat Ali's skillful batting saved the day when he scored 24 runs for 12 balls, closing the margin and leading Uganda to a historical win.
Pumped, obviously, very happy with the win. You know, it's good to come out here and win the tournament. What a game of cricket. It was much tougher than we had thought it would be. I thought Tanzania came out there and put us on the back foot early on. But again, the team showed great character to come out and chase down 175. That partnership between Muumuza and Riazat that got us over the line, that was brilliant to see. They executed their roles perfectly. They complemented each other very well. And, you know, we're just really happy to give our fans back home some joy. It's been a while since we've had a hand on a trophy, so we're very happy to bring this one back to Uganda.
Raziat Alisha and Dels Muhumuza posted 148 runs together, 98 and 50 respectively.
It always feels amazing when you perform for your team, and it was really amazing final. So our target was go till the end, push the game till the end. Me and Muumuza batted really well with me, and yeah, we knew that if we go till the last over, we can chase any target. We can score 20 or 25 runs in last over.
This first edition of the T20 Africa Cup Challenge was played in Wilmore Park in Benoni, South Africa, and it attracted 8 associate member countries of the International Cricket Council. Grace Joyce Kemkisa, UBC News.
Now, Uganda has claimed the bragging rights of sports at a secondary school level after triumphing at the Federation of East Africa Secondary School Sports Association Games that have climaxed in Arusha, Tanzania. Take a look.
After several days of action, the curtain has fallen on the Federation of East Africa Secondary School Sports Association Games in Arusha, Tanzania. For Uganda, all is well that ends well following a splendid performance that has added several gold medals on the final day of action. In the boys' football final, Kibuli SS courtesy over Dominic Ayala Brace edged Kenya's Highway Secondary School to win gold.
We came here to win the trophy, so that's it. We have won as a team. We have been playing as a team, and we have won as a team.
So I think everyone is so proud of us, and we are so proud of ourselves because we had put much effort about it, and we worked so hard for it.
St. Noah also confirmed its burgeoning football status with a 2-1 victory over Kenya's Wieta School, winning the girls' football title.
I'm very happy because it's my first time to join that school and to join girls football. It's my first to come in East African Games, but I've managed to win.
On top of those gold medals, Uganda added both gender gold medals in table tennis by Mbogo College and Kibuli SS for boys and girls, respectively. The Pearl of Africa wasn't done yet and added the basketball crowns by St. Mary's Kitende for girls and Budo SS in the boys event. Other medals won for Uganda were in rugby, hockey, swimming, badminton and netball.
UBC News Tonight. Do join us for our second edition at 10 p.m. where we bring you much more stories. I'm Lorene Masika Kazimoto and Muhammad Mugalu on sign language interpretation. We will see you at 10.
family of the late Edward Namukoye Tahuli announced the death of their father, who passed on in South Africa. Burial is slated for Saturday the 24th of September 2022 in Bududa, Bukirimwa, Bukibeno. He was a farmer, chairman Makali Farmers Association in Bududa. He was also a profound businessman after retiring from government, where he worked with ministries of agriculture and rehabilitation. This is to inform relatives, friends and in-laws. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial star 149 star 10 hash to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial star 149 star 10 star 5 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
The 28th edition of the Uganda Manufacturers Association's International Trade Fair will be different as Uganda marks the 60th anniversary, the Diamond Jubilee. The trade fair comes after a 2-year break brought about by the global COVID-19 pandemic. In the last 2 years, there have been several innovations across the industry. This is an opportunity to showcase what the market has. Come display, come explore, come see, come experience, come learn